Hey guys, I'm Sean Wilson, Maverick Bond German adhesive. We've been bringing this in from Germany for 20 years. It's an awesome product. That's our glue, the adhesive. We'll crack on and show you what it can do. All right, first thing up, we've got a rubber O-ring. Now rubber O-ring, we'll just slice them in half. Tiny little drop of glue, less is best. First we better open it. So there's a little trick with opening your Bond bottle. Cut him on a 45-degree angle. So 45, it just makes the glue come out in little amounts. So tiny little drop. You don't need a lot of glue. All right, we press together, we squeeze out the air. Once I squeeze out the air, that's your anaerobic action. And that's the Bond done, bang. So rubber to rubber, easy to do. There's other glues out there that'll do them, but then you've got to generally swap glues for different materials. That's why you see a lot of different glues on the shelf in the hardware stores. Our one glue from Germany, the way that it's been formulated is so that it won't go off in the bottle. Okay, so when we put glue on a job, normally you put your glue on the job, super glues, they dry out because you open them. As soon as you open the bottle, air gets inside it and it releases the solvents, and then you end up with a hard tube of glue. So what the Germans have done with this, they've purified it. They've purified it to become pure as they can get it. So it's a cyanoacrylate, just like all the others. We spread this first, spread it, find out where you want it. You've got time to work with it. When you find out where you want it, you press to squeeze out the air. Now, we've all done this before. Super glue was actually designed for it. Second World War, sticking skin together. So our glue just peels sideways, won't even look at your skin because you can't squeeze out the air because the skin's always breathing oxygen. So there's your soft materials, easy to do guys. Rubber, plastic, easy to get those done. Now, if you want to swap over and do hard materials like steel or hard plastics, you generally have got to get that different glue. Same glue here, we'll just clean these up a wee bit. Whoa. All right, that's why we don't put a good shirt on, guys. When you're gluing, just be careful. So use your old shirt for that. 2 little drops, less is best. So normally you're going to put glue all the way around there, and then when you squeeze, you're going to squeeze out a lot of glue, and it's also going to make a mess. So less cleanup, the less you use, and the bottle lasts you longer. Now we spread this first, so we give it a wee spread. Find out where we want it. When we find out where we want it, we press, we squeeze out the air, and that's steel to stainless steel. So that's 2 different metals going together as well, guys, because this glue doesn't distinguish between different materials or stick any material. And that's solid as, give that a wee squeeze that down, and that's my little party trick. Yeah, that's how I glue my nuts together. All right, here's one for you. Now the last one, this is the hardest one to do, and this is why a lot of automotive engineers and stuff like that over in Europe use this glue. This is now rubber onto steel, soft onto hard. We call it a crossover or a difficult surfaces bond. So all these other materials up the front here, they're all those crossovers when you need to start getting really specialized glues. We're still just using the blue bottle Maverick Bond. Little drop of glue. Just use our cloth, we'll give that a wee clean. Cleaner the surface, the better. You can use your prep cleaner to pre-prepare the surface, especially if it's dirty, greasy or oily. You're going to get a much better bond. Press, squeezing out the air, and that's rubber onto steel. That could be the rubber around the car door, the fridge door, shower door. If you've got any automotive vehicle, buses, boats, motorhomes, this stuff's going to save you money, and that's the big thing. 1 bottle of glue will last you 5 to 10 years if you look after it correctly. Okay, I'll go through that in a second, but we'll show you the powder now, the Maverick Fill. This is our chemical weld, so for fixing stuff, our glue is a liquid viscosity, so there's only one thickness with us, and we don't want you to have to mix up one of those gluggy glues, because if you don't mix them correctly, they're not going to set correctly. And our glue, when we put it in the job, because it's a liquid, it has no ability to fill this hole. So this is where we use the powder or the filler. Put the powder, filler on top. You build this up in layers is the best way to do it, guys. As you build this up in layers, sometimes you'll see smoke and fumes come off it. So you want to have the garage door open like we've got here, or a window, especially if you're inside. I can smell that now. It's an exothermic reaction. That's gone hard in about 3 seconds. Now we can drill it, file it, tap it, grind it. That's what I forgot to get out was my file, but that's a sandable straight away. Hard as a rock, okay? And this is where, when you've glued things together, you need to make stuff stronger. We can glue it, weld around it, especially if you don't see it. This is going to help stuff stay there. Glue, weld, this is wood to wood. I've glued it first and welded it. If you've got chips or breaks in anything, you can do all of that as well. These two hoses, not something you would normally weld together. It comes in just every now and then. You might need to do something like this, but if I was just to glue this, it's only touching on about 2 millimeters of glue surface. I've glued it together and then I've welded it, you can see, and that weld has given me a 10 mil surface, and there's no way you're going to get that apart. Yeah, awesome stuff. The glue and the powder, that's our dual action. They work amazing together, and they're the two you'll use the most. So glue does everything. The powder's for filling those holes and making stuff stronger, basically, is the best way to look at it, because it kind of chemically welds into materials. Now the cleaner's pretty simple. That's our prep cleaner. If it's greasy, dirty or oily, you want to prep that first, especially stuff like shoes. You know, they tend to be the dirty things. Oil will get rid of it. You're going to get a better bond if you've prepped it first. Another great thing for the cleaner. So here's a big pro tip. If you've used our glue before, all glues have a problem with their nozzle clogging, okay? To stop that, after you've used your glue, just like now, we just tap that on the bench and the glue goes back in the bottle. Pretty handy. Now my mum taught me, she said, Sean, wipe your nozzle, mate, so your nozzle doesn't get clogged. We put our cap on it and we store that upright in the fridge. So upright in the fridge, and your glue's good for a long time. Now for some reason it does get clogged or looks a bit glunky like this one. What are you going to do normally? You're either going to chop it smaller and smaller, and then you have a large hole and you're going to be wasting a lot of glue, or you're going to get a pin and you're going to do the old pin or drill down inside it. Now that's going to push that hard glue back into our bottle, and that's the only thing that can go wrong on your side, because that will contaminate the glue. All right, so we don't do either of those. We take the nozzles off the bottle. These nozzles are all interchangeable. If you buy our Pro Kit or one of our other packs, we'll give you a spare nozzle. We take our clogged nozzle though, swap it and put it on the cleaner. Tip that upside down, okay, and that will clean the nozzle for you. So then the cleaner is also great for cleaning out your nozzles if it gets clogged. If you do those two simple things though, tap it, wipe it before you store it in the fridge upright, you're not going to have a problem anyway. Now, accelerator. So the accelerator is for porous materials. Because we've got to squeeze out the air, bits like wood, ceramic, porcelain, terracotta, anything that's porous, you can't squeeze out the air and get that anaerobic action. So that's where we use the accelerator or our kicker. This helps seal the surface so that we can bond it together. So we'll do this one. I made a bit of a puzzle over here with my ceramic. So best thing to do here as well, I find, is test where it's going back together. So that gives you a bit of muscle memory, so when you come to sticking it, you've got it in the right place. Okay, so we'll put the accelerator one side. This is a real easy brush on applicator, yeah? So brush that on. As we brush it on, you'll see that go, soaks in. Now, give that a quick test before we put our glue on. And you watch this, one drop of glue, one drop, just about goes all the way. So we're going to put an extra one on there just to help them all the way along. So 2 little drops of glue goes a long way, guys. Find out where it goes back together. And this time we hold this for 10 seconds. So if I was just to glue this without using the accelerator first, I would have to hold this for 2 minutes, but that's stuck and on my skin. So this is where you normally freak out. Maverick doesn't stick to your skin, so just hold the job, wait for the job to be stuck. Roll sideways, doesn't stick to your skin. Feels like super glue on your skin, but that just wears off real easy. Now you're never going to get rid of the whole join. So on the back we do have these chips and bits and pieces. That's where you can then use a wee bit of glue and then our powder. Now the powder comes out white too, remember guys. So on the back of these, this is going to give you added strength and fill up all those chips and bits that you're missing. And that can be filed, sanded, painted, tinted, coloured, whatever. Now, that's the glue, Maverick Bond. This is our 4-pack. So when you buy them at the show, we do our 4-pack, which is our home handyman pack with the glue, the adhesive, filler, cleaner and accelerator. They're awesome, and that's going to store in your fridge. You're going to have that for the next 5 to 10 years, which is good. And you'll just be refilling glue, which is a lot of guys, they're just refilling the glue because they're not using all the others. Then we've got our Pro Kit. Now the Pro Kit, what you have in there is the 4 that we've shown you, And then there's the primer. Now the primer's used a lot for plastic, so polyplastics are the problem. It's the oil in the plastic. So any hard coloured extrusion moulded plastic, the reason it's oily is because it goes through an extrusion mould. Pretty handy though, that's why our caps don't stick to the bottles. So we've got to treat the oil in the surface of the plastic first. So with the primer, you use the primer, another brush on applicator. So we just brush this on and it dissolves in about 30 seconds. So you treat this not once, not twice, but 3 times and let it dissolve in between each application. And then you leave this to set and it will cure after about half an hour. And then we can glue any material to our polypropylene. Polyethylene, Teflon, they're those hard plastics. That's why plastic welders were invented. So anything on cars is polyplastic. So all of those bits and pieces, lugs, machinery, one of these will cost you $200 to $300 to replace. If you can fix it in the back, we can fix it and save money. That's the big thing with Maverick Bond. You will save thousands of dollars when you use this sort of kit. And just learning how to do it, that's why we've got these videos that we're going to be doing for you today to show you guys how each product works, which is awesome. Now the last 2 that are in there are the 2 knead-its. So the knead-its they're in a 2-part epoxy knead-it. Slice a little bit off, putty it together for 3 minutes, and then that goes off hard as a rock in half an hour. So this one here is the underwater aqua wet knead-it. So that one there will do pipes, hull of a boat, tanks, pools, reservoirs. I've had people do spa pools and also hot water cylinders under pressure with that. Now the other one's your steel knead-it. So steel knead-it for a steel weld, which I don't have any of that handy here. We've got one little job that I did here. This is my favourite old trusty watering can. It was all broken. I would have had to braze this at the end, but I've puttied that kneaded around there and that's fixed that up for me. I've got a few other things you can do, welding steel nuts together, and all the specs on those are on the back and they are awesome too. So yeah, that's Maverick. The Pro Kit's the way to go though, guys. Keeping it all together like this so you're not spilling bits and pieces, yeah? So having your glue in a setup with your right caps going back on the right bottles, okay? And these ones here, we don't work on the bench, because if you work on the bench, they're an expensive spill if you spill them. They lock into place. And if I'm doing any gluing, I'm generally gluing over top of my glue station, not over the kitchen bench, so that keeps me out of trouble with the missus. So happy days. Maverick Bond, get on. Info@Mavco is our email. Mavco.co.nz is the website. Order some glue. You'll love it. Fix some stuff.